Shira's logic on war and civilization, the continuation of Master Adjunct Gular'shel's Wisdom on War and Civilization. There are many iterations of a perfect plan. One requires the utmost patience. The most successful of plans are ones that take the longest to implement, and they warrant the largest amount of variables as the action is made. There is no doubt that even in space that the art of misleading and bewildering your foe can lead to establishing the perfect ambush. When caught in such a move, it is best to remain calm and have an exit strategy. It is the only means to get out of your enemy's grasp before it strangles you completely. There are two fundamental differences between controlling one's emotions versus purging one's emotions. Both are important in war, for the enemy will use any and every means necessary to achieve victory against you. However, controlling one's emotions means a calm mind that suffers less in battle. Purging one's emotions makes the body bleed during times of peace. The warrior is responsible for considering all options before engaging the enemy. Do not rush headlong into battle. Use your terrain, use your resources, use your expertise, and then bring the wave. As the enemy looks at the tidal surge, you strike them when their back is turned. Even a leader must understand the strengths and weaknesses of their warriors. Adjuncts that beg and roar for their warriors, but do it only for their own selfish goals, will find an unloyal army. Adjuncts that beg and roar for their warriors, but do it for the purpose to improve their lives, will find an army that will fight to the death. Anyone can win or lose a battle, including the best fighters. My father had his share of defeats, but there was a singular defining reason on why he won the war with the Emperor. The Emperor never truly adapted, as my father learned, from his mistakes in return. Those that correct their errors in future battles will more likely see victory. To know of your own weaknesses are things you might exploit upon your enemy. Those who appear weak and vulnerable may be the most intelligent, while the larger opponent overconfidently makes a foolish mistake of exposing their own weaknesses. When that happens, you strike hard into them. There is no shame in retreating. Sometimes the most effective battles have been those that attack and withdraw numerous times. Eventually, the larger force may have no choice but to give up or withdraw in turn. War can be an unpredictable environment. It is possible that the soldier will be captured. However, it is the goal of the prisoner to adapt to the circumstances, resist, and never give up. Those that survive from it are 10 times stronger than any warrior alive. War consists of what we consider both good and evil things. It is important to understand both concepts to enjoy their advantages in battles. Crime is an ever-present constant in our society. However, the most disturbing of crimes are ones that are considered serious, yet quickly pardoned by the strong, while the weak are left to face the consequences of breaking those same said laws. A wise leader is one that favors a crew that respects their leader, but recognizes fairness and justice for all of them. For if not, mutiny is all but inevitable. The Utilians, the Tarintar, rely heavily on defensive conflict. One can be almost impossible to defeat by this method, as the attacker leaves numerous weaknesses for the defenders to destroy and wipe out. The Itrean have comfort in resources, but it only serves to undermine them. Their adjuncts foolishly toss their ships and crews into the fight without care. Warriors fight with little to no experience, with little regard for their losses. If only they fought more like the Utilians, then they would conquer the galaxy much as Yao-Gran the Great had so successfully accomplished. The Shao Reign fight with courage and bravery. Their mastery of the gun is unrivaled, for it is also their greatest weakness. Their enemies have long adapted to ranged combat that far excels it. Eventually, much as the ancient clans of the past, the Shao Reign will be made as obsolete as the ancient tridents that have been long discarded. The Gular'shel carried the largest and most powerful warships. A single warrior could easily win against 5 Shao Reign warriors at once. Their strength was seemingly unrivaled, yet they were all but defeated. Why was that? Their adjuncts never adapted. Their people never progressed. Technology faded away. Free will was lost. Morale only crumbled. Society stagnated. There are many warnings why a clan species never survives, often more than one reason. They always say that the mightiest is the first to fall. However, the saying can be made with the heart and not always with supporting facts. This is often used with the Gular'shel, the Titans. The truth is that the mightiest of our races is one that has always learned to survive against great hardship, their desire for greed and domination being their undoing. They are no different than any Itrean, and their demise may very well be the future sign of all our species. However, there is also enough supporting evidence that no Itrean species may truly be extinct. They are still out there. The Pterians controlled the skies. Their people were passive, embraced ideals that were seemingly progressive for Itrean politics of its time, intelligent, and used sophisticated equipment and warships. Yet they seemingly lost. My father believed that the Pterians did not necessarily lose due to having fewer resources than the other clans, because they never lost at all. That is what they want you to think. Humans are seemingly more frail than Itreans. They underestimate the Itreans, their numbers, their resources and achievements. But the Itreans also underestimate the humans' ability to adapt in turn. Mankind will exceed beyond the Itreans, for it took them thousands of years to achieve the same level of progress, for the millions of years the Itreans needed. The Emphra can be like a massive asteroid that barrels on through to smash into a world, but even an asteroid can be diverted. Its fleets can be thrown into disarray. Its numbers can be divided. A larger opponent's force does not guarantee victory. The Emphra is not an opponent that follows simple rules. To fight like them is only to defeat yourself. They found the intelligence to reach us, and they have enough intelligence to defeat us. But a seasoned warrior can still beat them. There are 2 primary methods in which an attack will occur. One is by plan of action, often using former plan strategies, maneuvers, and ruses to overtake your opponent. 2 Shao Reign will face each other, duel to the death, their firearms primed, itching to draw their guns and shoot down the other, like a human standoff in a Wild West novel. To most Shao Reign, it is an honorable approach to combat. The other method is by ambush, surprising one's opponent and overtaking the other. However, unlike those novels and the myth of the Shao Reign, the second option is usually deployed and can warrant good results. But there is a flaw in that logic. The best option is to use both methods together. Often the second method is overplayed to the point that the ambusher grows overconfident, their enemies expecting the oncoming attack, negating the very concept of an ambush. It is up to the leader to utilize this third option, find a rare opportunity of when to deploy it, and initiate it. How does one beat a stronger opponent in battle? It is a question that was often asked during the Emphra War, for the enemy was numerous, and the allies seemingly few. The answer can be daunting, as variables have to be considered prior to the battle. There is a famous fight my father witnessed as a boy. In the ensuing battle, a bigger Shao Rain fought against a Gular'shel. The child was frail, seemingly expected to lose. The bets raged against him, for it seemed he had no chance of victory. However, when the fight began, my father noticed that the bigger Shao Rain was nervous. He was expected to win. He had to win, for if he didn't, he would face a loss in reputation far greater than the Gular'shel ever would. Ultimately, it would be that fear that would be his undoing. The reality was that the Gular'shel timed his strikes and hit the vital areas of the bigger one. Eventually, the great Shao Rain fell. For the Gular'shel, the reality is that there was no such thing as a stronger opponent, but one of mind. There are many factors to defeating a stronger opponent, but the first step is recognizing and overcoming your own fears.